the Lunaverse. And I realized I just missed an important date a couple of days ago. But what can I say? I was busy conning around and busy having a good time, and it made me completely forgot. But I haven't forgotten that now. What date is that? Our fifth anniversary for the Lunaverse side of things. I'm also busy trying to figure out how to best handle the Lunaverse schedule since my current schedule for work keeps having me miss the times I normally set aside for the Lunaverse. I suppose I'll figure that out later. Right now, let's do our usual tradition of Lunaverse stories if they were set in other fanfics. Today, I think we'll go a little bit small and just focus on Starfleet Season 4. Enjoy. Also, besides, we did just start that off, didn't we? Now, for those of you who have just joined recently this channel and are probably wondering what are the full extents of the Lunaverse differences between here and Starfleet proper, okay, let's go. Let's overgo. Grand Ruler, married to Luna. Rhymi is in fact now married to Ditsy. Trixie, still dead. Oh, come on. Currently, everybody is in their usual spots, except once again, this is Starfleet. Everybody is, of course, being pushed down lower. And the nobles, now convinced of their greater power, are now even worse. Yes, I know that there was some fixing to the nobility within Season 1, but, however, let's not forget who we're dealing with. Are you going to look me in the eye and tell me that somehow Grand Wilson found a way to have some of his own on the Starfleet side of things? Hell no, I wouldn't. Also, you might be wondering why I'm keeping the same team of Lightning in this group. I figured there's not that much difference, and I can't really say Abra would be taking the lead because, unlike Trixie, Abra's just as interesting in the Starfleet canon as Trixie. So there. So, back to Season 4. I can see Dinky maybe taking on a bigger role on this, since the closest thing we've had to a Spike character is Dinky. Pokey Pierce isn't really that much of a Spike. Is not really that much of a Spike character, as in he doesn't have his own arc, he doesn't have his own story, and mainly shows up as a side. Dinky has had a few episodes dedicated to her, sometimes at the cost of Ditsy's character arc. So we'll just be replacing a lot of scenes with Spike with Dinky. This is going to be especially interesting since a lot of Spike's arc in Season 4, if you recall, dealt a lot with the fact that he had a crush on Rarity. So part of this could also be Dinky dealing with her own feelings towards little Pipsqueak. Or Dinky feeling that she is lost and alone. Which probably means that at the end, instead of growing up thanks to the power of the armor, Dinky grows up in her own way and becomes quite the fox. Either that, or choice B, Dinky ends up going through an entire Black Lady arc. You know, since Mikan would jump at the chance to rip off anything from Sailor Moon. And oh look, Dark Lady's had an arc in there. As for Carrot Top, yeah, I can still totally see her getting seduced by Black Horse. Although, considering that this will just be going for generosity to generosity, more often I would actually see Charlie getting seduced by Bad Horse. And perhaps this could put Big Mac into the Spike role. And Kudos, well, his arc would be still stupid no matter what universe you put him in. I mean, you can't really do much with shit. You could spend years polishing shit, and it would still be shit. But I could actually see it more coming from a perspective that it was the nobility that effed him up. Which, granted, would actually make the story a little bit better, because then it would be him trying to make all the nobles feel inferior and show the superiority of his own breeding and some of his own power, and then we just go into what if this was Lunaverse Starfleet. Moving on. Yes, the whole Luna getting poisoned thing would still happen, and I have a feeling that this would put Celestia even harder and would keep pushing her closer to becoming her nightmare form again. Why is that, you may ask? Simple. Because remember what happened to her the first time, she felt like she had to control it. Maybe this could also end up bringing Celestia and Twilight together, and Twilight has to deal with all of this. The time travel arc I can't see changing too much, because that mainly revolves around the twins and Dark King having to manipulate so much. So I can see that Dark King probably would have barely that much of an influence on the whole entire story. Or any that maintains this. Other than his minions. I can also see this ending with, yes, Ditzy and Raimi getting married. And Diki getting a new father figure. Which actually begs the big question. Where would this continue? Would this continue on to the Fall of Starfleet line? Or would this continue with the normal Starfleet line with Season 5 through 7? And no, I only skimmed Season 5 with the exception of the miscarriage story. I barely remembered Season 6 because, oh my god, Season 6 was the most boring of them all! Yeah, don't ever ask Micah to do a story that doesn't require a big bad ever again. This guy cannot do it. God, it was so boring. It was like every single page just continued to beat me upside the head. It was boring. So god darn boring. And season 7 has an interesting plot arc. And I'm just curious where the rest of it's going to go. Part of me wants to say that it would just go normally, since the big exodus for Dark King is the fact that Twilight Sparkle died. And Cadence died, and he lost so much. He lost his wife, he lost 2 of his children. So, yeah, that would be Dark King's story. He would be influenced on that part. On the other hand, this would mean that if we were to go Fall Starfleet route and say that Dark King was in fact somebody else, you would actually have to try to figure out who could Dark King possibly be. Would he still be Shining Armor? I mean, Shining doesn't have that much of a connection with Trixie in the Lunaverse canon, so... See, here's the thing. Trixie doesn't have that many ponies connected to her like a family that would help execute the Dark King. So, would Dark King be a part of that? Would Dark King, in fact, be some other random pony that doesn't have a connection to Trixie? Or would Dark King still be Shining Armor? Which also begs the question. Where would Trixie's story take her? And who would Trixie be if she were to be split apart? Because remember, she's not Twilight. She can only copy spells when she sees them. So you would have to see the Soul Split spell in person. She would have to see it with her own eyes before she could even imagine using it. So, how would Trixie use the Soul Split spell? Would Trixie have accidentally seen Twilight use it? and in her own fight with Raven, accidentally wielded it? Or in this world, would it be more of a backup with, say, Trixie's own use of the element of magic? And for that matter, what would Trixie's split be? I mean, when I split Twilight up into Spark and Belle, I split up Twilight's emotional state and everything that was about her as a pony versus her power and logic. Trixie doesn't have power and logic. So what would Trixie split be? A shy mare that is afraid of the world, is afraid of pushing everyone away, versus one whose ego and overconfidence? For that matter, how would the Umbra Circle act? Would they still call themselves the Umbra Circle? Because Luna would have gone with that name because she strikes from the shadows. Celestia wouldn't be that much of a shadow person. She would probably joke saying, "Okay, it's time to go back to the old ways. Come on, Twilight!" Which would actually make it interesting change to see what the elements of fate in the Lunaverse would have been. Because the elements of harmony, faith, loyalty, honesty, loyalty, kindness, generosity, magic, and laughter all belong to new bearers. So how would you take the elements of fate and apply that to the main six? How would you change it around? Now that I think about it, how would some of the bigger battles go? The main six got through their big battles because, well, they were powerhouses. They were trained and they got stronger and they went through so many adventures. I guess I would say that if we were to go full on Fall Starfleet, well, maybe this time, in the world of Fall, these girls would have harder problems, but they would still pull through it. And they would stand tall. It would be tougher for them, sure, but I can imagine their own little adventures being way bigger than you might expect. Well, I'm going to still try to figure out how to handle the rest of the Lunaverse Season 2, because I do want to do more. See you then!